The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott.
Cause I'm about that.
The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? My, oh, my, oh, can you help me out? My, oh, my. Can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello and welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of A Running Point. And don't freak out. Don't adjust your monitors. It is still Running Point. It is just a different look. We are missing Anthony Hartwig. He is out on call doing some work for us and with YSN right now. And we will be looking to get him joining back with Running Point tomorrow. But for today, it is just Ty Bartell joining you along in studio today. And boy, it is a full packed show for us today, as we have three coaches coming on and joining us for today's show. We also have power rankings to talk about, as well as our Baird Brothers Big Dogs. And somewhere in between all of this chaos, we also have Scotty coming on to still try to stump me in studio today. For our coaches coming on, we have Jeff Brink of the Springfield Tigers coming on, and I think he's going to have a lot to talk about after that triple overtime win against South Range last night. Nick Canarino of the Red Hot Red Devils, 7-1 on the season, also coming in today at some point too, joining virtually, of course. And then Coach Wernicke too of the Struthers Wildcats, starting off 3-1 on the season, and they got a heck of a matchup coming up tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about with all of that. But without further ado, we have results to talk about from last night's games and last night's action. And first off, in girls basketball, we saw Nordonia not really upset, but more or less take a victory, close victory at that too, 42-40 over Cardinal Mooney as a part of the South Range Holiday Hoops Classic, as well as Brookfield defeating Columbiana 47-32 on the girls' side of things. As for the boys' basketball that we had last night, Columbiana was also in action, defeating Edison this time, as the Clippers continue to clipper clap along, as both boys and girls looking really solid this season. Boys get a big win over this Edison program. 62-24 was the final on that. Howland staying red hot too. And once that AAC play opens up, we know that's going to be quite an exciting run. They get a 53-17 victory over Sharon last night. Also, we saw a really dogfight, scrappy and defensive effort game in Poland, or in Boardman, I should say, as Poland was able to defeat Boardman 28-26, low scoring, high defensive game, high intensity, and it's pretty much everything you want from old school, fundamental, defensive-minded basketball, and that's what you got. Seemed like a lid was on the basket for some of the shots, but great defensive effort by both sides and great win by Poland to sneak one out over the Spartans 28-26. And West Branch continues to roll along, and you know what? On top of that, they got a new sheriff in town for three-pointers in Jackson Hendershot, as West Branch defeats rival Salem 50-25, and you don't usually see a whole lot of lopsided scores like that when these two teams lock up. But West Branch, huge win for the Warriors out there, doubling the score of the Quakers, and Jackson Hendershot just continues to shine for this Warriors team. And just athletically over there in West Branch, they do such a great job of having these athletes that are not just single sport athletes. They're multiple sport athletes, but on top of the fact of being multiple sport athletes, they do such a great job of making them successful in almost every sport that they play. Another great accolade for Jackson Hendershot to add to his belt, and another great win for the Warriors. Niles went on to beat Mineral Ridge in a close one as part of a lot of close ones that went on around the network last night. 56-54 was the final. Niles beating Mineral Ridge last night. Another close one too, as gonna have to start talking about this team over there in Liberty, as the Leopards beat a red-hot Ursuline team 65-60. And this Liberty team, all of a sudden, we've been talking a lot on the girls' side of action and how great that Liberty team is, and that still holds true. But what we're looking at now with this Liberty team, this boys team, they're starting to get this traction, and they're starting to really find their groove and starting to take down some big name opponents. That's another one too. And we know Coach Gunther's program over there in Ursuline is one of the best, as he's always going to have his guys give 100+% every given night. But and that night, the Leopards were able to take that one 65-60, another great win for them. We'll stop right here and go right into this game that I was at last night, and another close one at that, as Austintown Fitch able to beat Glen Oak and the Golden Eagles 51-50. And at one point, Austintown was up by as much as 17 in this one. But Glen Oak, oh man, do they have some offensive weapons, and they were able to start making a comeback. But credit to Austintown's defense for really holding them. And what we noticed is this is a team that's going to be constantly in height disadvantages, and they're finding ways to not only be successful against bigs offensively, but they're finding it in the rebounding edge. They're finding it even defensively too, and stopping the bigs of Glen Oak last night multiple times. We actually have a couple of post-game interviews loaded up with our player of the game last night for the Falcons, Alan Underwood, as well as Coach Brian Beanie. We'll start off with our player of the game. Get to hear from Alan Underwood right here on Running Point.
Welcome back, everybody, as I'm here now with the player of the game in tonight's Fitch's 51-50 victory over Glen Oak, Alan Underwood, with 24 points of offense on the evening. And Alan, just talk to me a little bit about going up against the height of that Glen Oak team and where you were able to find success with being in such a height mismatch as the entire team was the entire game.
I just treat him like he's my size, I went up to him, put his elbow in his chest like I do anybody else. And that's where I found success at.
I love the dynamic that you, Gianni, as well as also Deshawn have in being able to move the ball, being able to handle the ball. Talk to me a little bit about how that practice has been and how you guys kind of play this point guard by committee, it seems like, going into these half-court sets and your setup for offense. Does it dictate where all three of you guys can play point guard at any given time?
Yeah, it does. Every offense, how can I put it? All of us, we can run it. If it's a play, we all can get around guys easy. Like our coach tells us all the time, nobody could guard us. That's why they would go in zone. So, it's easy for me, Gianni, and Deshawn just to get around our defenders and make plays.
There's no doubt you guys have been competitive with some of the better teams in the entire state and all of Northeastern Ohio, but being able to finish games has been a struggle for you guys. How good does it feel to be able to finish this one off? And what has kind of been the talks with Coach Beanie leading up to this game for you guys to finally be able to finish one off and come up with a win?
After every game, Coach Beanie been telling us we're right there, and he was right, right there, as you see, like, what was it, like late in the fourth when they started to come back, I was out there telling my team, like, just we're going to be fine, just keep playing. And that's what we did tonight. And that's how we got the victory. We finished it off.
Alan, talking about this too, obviously I know you're just experienced as Fitch as a senior too, as one of the seniors on this team. I mean, we know the Austintown community is pretty special for you guys. You've had 2 very good years back to back now with the team, and you're already off to a great start this season. How special is this Austintown community to you, and what is the relationship like with the coach, the players, and the school overall?
Oh, it's good. I love all my teammates. I love my coaches. They treated, when I first got here, they welcomed me open arms. It was great. When I first, my first day coming here, it was really great. I liked it. I won't want to go nowhere else.
Big game for you tonight. My final question for you. If there's one NBA college level player, even maybe a high school level player that you try to implement or take aspects from their game, who's that player and why?
Allen Iverson. I like, how can I put it? I like, he's small, but he doesn't care. He has heart. And that's what I like about his game. You know, and he came out every night. He laid it on the floor every night.
Certainly all heart tonight for Allen Underwood, and a big victory for the Falcons, 51-50 over Glen Oak. Player of the game, Allen Underwood. Thank you so much.
From Allen Underwood to Allen Iverson, there might be some connections, as that 24-point performance from Underwood last night in a very kind of Iverson-esque type style of play. And what he said too, the height mismatch and going in with the trees down low, elbow to the chest and going up strong, went to the foul line a ton last night. And that was partly why Fitch was able to come away successful. Let's also hear from Coach Brian Beanie, as after so many heartbreakers, Fitch finally able to pull one off. Let's hear what he had to say after last night's game.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here now with the winning coach of tonight's game, Fitch Falcons, 51-50 over Glen Oak, Coach Brian Beanie. And Coach, I mean, just after the last few games, that one has to feel good for you to finally get a win under this team's belt.
Not only does it feel good, I mean, the kids deserved it. I mean, like the last 3 games, like our margin of defeat was like 2 or 3 points. So I kept telling them for the last, 2-3 weeks, like, you guys are a really good team. Like, don't worry about the record. Record means nothing in December. And, it's one thing if, we weren't winning games and we're getting blown out and you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But it's right there at the doorstep for us. And we just needed to learn how to finish. And that's on, that's something that those guys have to learn on their own. There's nothing we can do in practice as far as simulating the game. You can do different type of drills and all that kind of stuff, but you can't simulate game atmosphere. And, those guys had to step up and do it. And tonight they did it against, make no mistake, against a very good Glen Oak team who came in 4-1 that definitely outsized us and stuff like that. But, our guys played hard. I mean, they did. And, I just feel good for them.
You got wins now over Hudson, another team that was outsized with you. And this is another one in Glen Oak. I mean, yeah, like you said, record doesn't matter, but that's 2 big wins being outsized in various spots on the floor. What is kind of the talks going into these type of games with the team and knowing that they're going to already be at that height disadvantage and trying to come out on top?
Well, on our 22-game schedule, there's only one team that we were the same size as, and that was Mooney. The other 21 were not as big as those teams. Sometimes teams come in with 3 guys over 6'4", and you do the best that you can against it. You saw how hard we played against that big kid, stuff like that, and you just, you do what you can do. There's no magic pill, but for us, I thought we did a hell of a job blocking out tonight. That's been one of our weaknesses because we're just outsized and we just have a hard time controlling the boards a lot. But tonight, I thought I would be surprised if we didn't win the rebounding battle tonight. But we've had a hell of a December schedule. I mean, there isn't one team on our schedule in December that hasn't tested us to the max. And that's fine because that's what I wanted to do leading into conference play. And so now these guys know what they can do and stuff like that. And they knew practices weren't down. We weren't like disgruntled. We're right at the doorstep, and you just got to keep working at it and just taking advantage of the opportunities. I mean, at one point we're up 17 against Glen Oak. I mean, now obviously you probably, they're going to come back. They're a good team, but the way we held on there at the end makes it, extra sweet.
Talk about the play of Allen Underwood and how impactful his play was tonight in getting that victory.
Well, we kind of had not a heart to heart, but, Coach Higgs and I sat down with Allen, weeks back and said, do what you're good at. What you're good at is attacking the basket. And, he does that better than anybody. Not that he can't shoot an outside shot, but guards have a hard time staying in front of him, and he gets to the rack when he wants to. And that's what he's been doing lately. I mean, most of his shots are going to the basket. I think he had a big 3 in the corner maybe, or top of the key. I think he had a big 3. So it's his play has been fantastic. And I feel great for him because he's always a kid during school when he has, like a study hall or something, he'll come down and he'll shoot and stuff like that. He puts a lot of time into it. So, kids like that, you want to see especially succeed.
2 quick questions for you, and then we'll get you out of here. For this one, just looking at the team, what do you think it speaks to about the character of the team overall, that they were finally able to battle through the adversity and just come out with a victory after suffering a couple of heartbreaks the last couple?
Well, I think you said it. I mean, it shows character. I mean, when you have a couple, heartbreaking defeats and letting a couple wins slip through your fingers, or actually the last 3 games slip through your fingers. No, you can go one of 2 ways. I mean, you can go the route of, woe is me, feel bad for yourself, blah, blah, blah. Or you can say, you know what, we are a damn good team. We're going to keep working at it. If we keep doing things the right way, we're going to eventually get over that finish line, and that's what those guys' mentality is.
Final question for you. Next game up, I believe, is January 4th against
Conference
Canfield.
play.
You
Yeah.
open up conference
Yeah.
play. So just preview that game a little bit with the Cardinals, and we kind of know what to expect inside the AAC. But
Sure.
for you guys to get off on that right foot and get that win too, what's it going to take to go up against Canfield?
Oh, it's a huge momentum, builder going into conference play. Kids get some time off here a little bit. We'll, take a few days off and come back refreshed, ready to go for Canfield. Canfield will be Canfield. We know each other well. We'll have to defend some of their sets that they run, but they're going to have to defend us too. So, it should be a good game. But I'm looking forward to conference play. It should be fun.
It should be a fun one, indeed.
Yeah.
And you can catch that one on ysnlive.com next Tuesday, as it is Canfield versus Fitch. Coach Brian Beanie, thank you so much.
As that was Coach Brian Beanie from last night's victory as the Austintown Fitch Falcons narrowly escaped Glen Oak 51-50 to come away with victory. As next up on the docket is conference play with Canfield. And speaking of Canfield also came away victorious last night in a separate Battle of the Birds just across the way of Cornersburg, as Canfield did come away victorious 63-41 against Hubbard last night, as well as Cardinal Mooney came away victorious against Canton Central Catholic 47-13. We talked about that big triple overtime victory for Springfield 67-58 over South Range. And boy, are we lucky as ever to be able to talk with Jeff Brink about that one and just kind of the emotions of where the boys are right now and where his emotions are after you play 3 overtimes coming away with the victory in that one. Hard-fought games like that mean a lot, especially going into the season. We also have some other post-game interviews from outside of YSN coverage, as Anthony Hartwig, like we said, may not be in studio today, but you still get to hear his voice as he got to catch up with both players and coaches from both Fort Fry and Akron-Hoban girls basketball team. And first, we'll start off with Akron-Hoban and Coach Pam Davis, as Anthony Hartwig got a chance to catch up with her.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's winning coach, Coach Davis, for Hoban's 69-46 win over Howland. Coach, this is closer than you guys have been used to this year, but still pulled out the victory. Probably not as clean as you guys would like from your standard. But what's it mean to have a game like this to push through it?
Well, I was really proud of my girls. We had 4 or 5 kids, I think, in double digits. Again, it wasn't to our standard, but we haven't played since December the 12th. So we were a little rusty, not to make excuses, because Howland did a very nice job switching defenses on us, and their length bothered us a little bit. But I'm very happy with coming off the break and having a victory here on the road.
I think a lot of people look at your scores and think about the offense that you guys put together, but they miss that your defense allows less than 50 points every game, and there's only a handful of games where you let 40 points. Talk about this defense and what makes it so hard to go up against.
Well, we go 9 deep, Anthony, and we always talk about attrition. So trying to wear teams down over time, and our kids have bought into it. This is my 3rd year at Holden, and so they know that if they don't play on the defensive end, then they don't get the offensive minutes. So, as long as everybody is good with our defensive culture, then they get their time.
Tonight's player of the game was Emma Rasmussen, led you guys with 14. He had so many players with double figures, though, but what does Emma mean to this team?
Emma is the ultimate team player. Not only can she stroke the ball, but she plays great defense. And at her 5'4" frame, she had, I think, 4 or 5 offensive rebounds where she just gave us extra possessions. And that is definitely a award that is well-deserved.
A long season ahead. How do you use this one as momentum heading forward?
Well, we come up against 2 tough teams next week in Solon and Olentangy Liberty out of the Columbus area. So this will help us, especially with their length and switching multiple defenses. I think it's definitely going to help us down the road.
Coach, thank you so much. Congratulations on the win. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for the coverage.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's player of the game, Hoban's Emma Rasmussen. Emma, 14 points to lead this team tonight. What did it take to get this victory?
We've been off a couple of weeks due to COVID and stuff, so we were coming off a 2-day practice, so it was really focusing on connecting as a team and working together and pushing through as it was a time off with COVID and stuff.
As you said, you haven't played since December 12th. What did it feel like just to get back on the court against someone that wasn't yourself?
It was really, really fun and good to be back. I missed it a lot. I've been working off the court when we didn't have it, but it was really good to be back on the court with the team.
I mean, you're listed at 5'4", but you had at least 4 or 5 offensive rebounds. Talk about your mentality down low and what helps you get those rebounds against girls that might have a height advantage on you.
Well, since I'm short, Coach Kim always tells me to rebound no matter what. So my goal is to at least get like 2 to 3 rebounds a game to help out our 4s and 5s since they have played multiple positions. So I try my best to get in there.
We know this team has high goals in front of them. What's it going to take to get through this season and achieve all the goals that you have in front of you guys?
Working together as a team, trusting the process, and just working our butts off until we hit the end, which is a championship.
Emma, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on playing the game and the win.
Thank you.
Kind of previewed it a little bit, but I'm telling you that Hoban girls team, it's going to definitely have a ring to it by the end of this season. I think you're going to start hearing that name pop up a lot. It's a fantastic program over there, no doubt. And Anthony Hartwig doing a great job catching up with both of them. And that wasn't all he did. He also got a chance to catch up with some players and coaches from Fort Fry, as it was Dan Lidke, Coach Dan Lidke from Fort Fry, and Mackenzie Dalton also as well. So get a chance to hear from them as well as our final post-game interviews here before we get into our live interviews portion of the show.
Hi, Coach Lidke, sorry. Coach, 45-44, you came back from down 14 at halftime. What did it take to get this win over Garfield?
We had to hit shots. I mean, we were just missing so many shots, and then we got to forcing some shots, and then we had play times when we wasn't taking the shot because, that's a bad time. You get a feeling when your team gets into that kind of a mode. And, we had to bring out a lot of energy in that second half. So we had to press. We had to come up and press and just go after anything we could to get the momentum change. And we finally get it. They did a really nice job of bouncing back. I mean, we would come, but then they'd get more points, and then we would come back. But all in all, I think that's what it was. And then we just happened to hit that 3 to put us up 1 with about 6 seconds left to go. So these kind of games here, hopefully we learn from this. But we just shot the ball so poorly that first half.
Kiana O'Brien hits that 3 to give you guys the lead with 6 seconds left. It was obviously a set play. And how much trust do you have in your shooters in that situation?
Well, we have a lot because we run that play a lot of times at end of quarters. But normally the ball goes to Archer, goes to Hannah Archer. But Kenzie found, she'd been hitting some. Kiana had hit some earlier, so she had found her in that corner. That was it. That was going to be it for that game right there. So she hit it. So it's good for her because she's young and build a little confidence for her.
Mackenzie Dalton won our player of the game tonight. Such outstanding defense from her with the steals, fast break layups, 14 points. What does she mean to this team?
She means a lot to this team. She makes us roll. I mean, she's the one, assist-wise, that's how we score so many times from her because, number one, she gives us more opportunities because she steals the ball. The other thing is she's very good at distributing the ball to the shooter.
All right, Coach, congratulations on the win. Before we let you go, you're back here against the host team tomorrow. How important is the momentum from today into tomorrow?
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully we get good rest tonight. But we got to come out. We cannot.
Anthony Hartwig here with tonight's player of the game, Mackenzie Dalton from Fort Fry. Mackenzie, you guys were down 14 at halftime. What did it take to get this win, the comeback win over Garfield?
We had to be very patient about it. We couldn't force anything. We were kind of off to a slow start with our shooting. So we just had to find our rhythm and, hit shots.
As a leader of this team, what do you kind of say to this team as the night went on to stay patient, stay confident with the shots, and keep going?
I guess our defense sets the tone for most things, and our defense really helped their offense out today. And I guess just getting to their shooters and then knocking down our shots really pushed us back.
Your defense was really good, specifically yours. I mean, quick hands. How much pride do you take in your defense?
Defense is pretty much my whole game. I really do defense more than I do offense, but I just like to drive and kick. I'm not really a selfish player, so my defense is usually what stands out the most.
The epitome of your unselfishness in that last possession, you find O'Brien for the 3. What did it feel like when that shot went down and you guys had the lead?
Pretty good that we finally came back and got where we wanted to be. We were down by a lot. It was kind of questionable, but we knew we could do it and come back.
Back down here tomorrow against South Range. How much momentum does this win give you?
Good, because we know tomorrow's team has good defense.
Mackenzie, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the player of the game tonight.
As that was Anthony Hartwig catching up with players and coaches of both Akron Hope as well as Fort Fry on the night as part of that South Range Holiday Tournament. As we get ready to take our first break of the day, on the other end of that, we're going to be talking to Coach Jeff Brink of the Springfield Tigers. And boy, what a game we're going to have to talk about last night. Don't go anywhere. Be back right after this on Running Point.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Cocos Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocospizza.com. That's Cocos Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university. and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Welcome back, everybody, here on Running Point, as we are getting ready to get Jeff Brink, coach of the Springfield Tigers boys basketball team, on in just a minute. We see Anthony Hartwig tuning in with the comment, South Range versus Fort Fry, starting in about 10 minutes. He, of course, said that right around 10 minutes ago, so they're just about ready to tip off and get underway over there in South Range. So, of course, you could go check that out on the network too. Go to ysnlive.com/team/South Range, I believe, to get the coverage on that and to get Anthony Hartwig's beautiful commentary on it as well. But previewing this game and previewing our interview with Jeff Brink as we await to talk with him, it was a big triple overtime victory too over South Range last night, and getting a little bit of revenge after a loss in the football season too. And some would say too that loss kind of propelled the Tigers in the beginning of that football season, but South Range was able to come out and get the win in that football season, and you knew that kind of stung with a lot of those boys that are co-sport athletes with both basketball and football, and that one meant that much more. Records kind of go out the window when these two teams lock horns, and that certainly happened again last night. And boy, oh boy, what a game it was, as it must have felt like it would never end. You don't see many triple overtimes in the high school realm, especially around the area, but that was certainly one of them. As we got to imagine, players have to be gassed. I'm sure the coaches are exhausted as well. But as of right now, Springfield now still undefeated at 5-0. Next opponent slated to be on the 30th of December versus Hubbard too. So they're going to have another matchup with any 8 opponents slated for tomorrow night, actually, too, as it's part of a lot of boys basketball games that are going to be going on the network tomorrow night due to the fact of New Year's. No games going on Friday, no games going on Saturday either, but plenty on the docket tomorrow for Thursday night. And it's not just boys basketball, girls basketball as well. I think looking at it, let's see what we have just real quick, previewing what we have. We'll go a little bit more in depth with the previews later on in the show, but just looking at this real quick as we still continue to patiently await for Coach Jeff Brink, as LeBray and Badger. LeBray at Badger, that is going to be Brian Oatridge. That's going to be in coverage. Beaver Local at East Liverpool. CJ Schroed's going to cover that one too for girls basketball. East Palestine at Jackson Milton. Varsity Only, as our owner DJ Yoakley, going to be at that one. Ellett at Waterloo is going to be on as well. I should be on that one. Girard at Newton Falls School is going to be covering that one as well for girls basketball. Hubbard at Cheney, with Ian O'Brien covering that one for girls. Springfield at United with Chris Sigler behind it. And then Indian Creek at Edison, JV and varsity, as the school going to be covering that one. And then over in the boys basketball realm for the evening of the 30th for tomorrow, as well as what we're previewing, is the Heartland tournament that Mark Franken's going to be covering, as well as Southeast at Brookfield. Matt Morrison going to be on that call. Hubbard at Springfield. We talked about that was Romo and Richie on the call, and you're going to get an all-star cast for that one, as Liberty and Struthers and Eric Hughes going to have that one as well. We still continue to await for Coach Jeff Brink, but in doing so, we will also take a look now, though, at our power rankings for our Baird Brothers Big Dogs too. Actually, we'll go Big Dogs first before we go power rankings. Got a little tongue-tied there, but let's look at our Big Dogs first, as a lot of things came out with the network, and we didn't have a chance to talk about these Tuesday. We didn't have a chance to talk about these Monday. So as we wait for our coaches to join, we'll look at our Big Dogs too. And as the names and the nominees dropped just a few days ago, we look over on the boys' side and getting a chance to see a few of these. The first nominee that came to the list, Terence Panky of Ursuline. And if you want to talk about a guy that is a real game changer and a guy that can truly carry a team at times, and a guy where the offense all runs through him. Point guard, he's able to dish, he's able to pass, he's able to score on his own as well. Very tremendous athlete is Terence Panky. Adam Wary from Springfield too, as if we can get Coach Brink on, I'm sure he will be talking a lot about how Adam Wary is a huge X factor to this team. He's also there with Rothwell, but it's part of what makes the Springfield team so successful too, is what they're able to do outside shooting as well as going into Rothwell with that inside threat because of the height he presents too. But Wary was always one of those guys that can knock him down. He could drive a little bit as well. And what I saw from him last year, haven't had a chance to see him yet this season, but I'm sure that he has definitely improved his game over the course of the summer. And just what I've seen on him just around the network and his name circulating, I think he's already been player of the game twice. I'm pretty sure Romo's awarded him. So definitely well deserved to be on this big dogs list too. And triple overtime victory. I know that's not accounted into or factored in, but certainly a lot of eyes looking at Springfield after last night. Donovan Pawlowski from Brookfield. We heard that name a lot before as well, too, in the football realm. But now in the basketball realm, he's popping up as well for the Warriors. And Brookfield putting together a pretty solid season on both sides of the court. And Pawlowski having another one of those great seasons. Just a phenomenal athlete that they got over there in Brookfield. Jake Gerdig from Canfield, and hard to not to talk about Jake Gerdig when you talk about Canfield, as name rings true. I believe he's also a multi-sport star, also on the baseball side of things as well. So very talented athlete, and in basketball realm as well. I've gotten a chance to see him. I saw him last year as well. I haven't seen him yet on this season, but I will get a chance to see him next Tuesday. But Jake Gerdig's one of those guys too with Canfield that he's able to put up 20 on any given night, and he can surprise you with that 20, 25, 30-point performance, and he can explode any given night. And that's part of what's made this Canfield team so good this year and why that AAC is so tough. You speak about the AAC, you go right down to Deshawn Vaughn Jr. from the Falcons, as talk about another guy that could put up 20 on any given night, and another young guy, I believe only a sophomore, but coming up with some great games as of late, as he's averaging, I think, 14 on the season up until this point. So no doubt a very, very good start of the season for Deshawn Vaughn and the Falcons, who finally got that win under their belt too. And honestly, Vaughn, Allen Underwood, and Gianni Maley, they're forming a nice trio there. But Vaughn's been the one that's been the recipient of the ball a lot for a lot of big scores and a lot of 20-plus point games. Another guy I got to see too, Greg Constantino from Mcdonald. And you want to talk about a guy that can splash it home from behind the arc just about anywhere and is unafraid to take a shot from just about anywhere. In that game against Waterloo, where Mcdonald hosted Waterloo, he was definitely the player of the game. You actually can see those post-game interviews with Constantino too. I believe those are uploaded on the site as well as on our YouTube page too. So player of the game in that one, I believe he had 29 on that night and was just a dead-eye sniper from distance and was killing it all night. As we do have now Coach Jeff Brink popping in. We'll take a pause right there, but that is our boys' side of the Baird brothers. Let's pop him in. As Coach, how we doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, doing real well. Coach, I'm going to just shut my mouth because the Lord knows the fans know I've been talking plenty up to this point, but you had that big triple overtime game. What is the feeling of you? What is the feeling of the players? What is the feeling of the entire community right now?
I mean, it's a huge win for us. Obviously, you would hope a game doesn't have to go into 3 overtimes. I know last year the kids had a thrilling 5 overtime game with Poland, and those extended games are obviously rough physically. And for some of our kids, with Alex and Jake Joyce fouling out, we had extended minutes for Adam Wary and Bo Brungard. I mean, they played the full game, so they're looking at 44 minutes for each of those players. So it was a long night, but exciting. I think for the fans, also it's always being a big grudge match game, big rival game. Anytime you play South Range, it's a big game, even though they're not in our league anymore. As we grew up, when I coached here before, that was always a big game. That was the big game. And in football, it was a huge game this year. And I think for a lot of our guys, that is potentially the last time they may play South Range. You want to make sure you go out on a positive note, and it was definitely a dogfight.
Speaking of the football and just the game that they had to play in the football season, do you think that loss helped propel them? And was it something that you guys used, or did they use it in practices as kind of fuel to the fire going into this one?
It's hard to say because individually, I mean, every player approaches things differently. but I think it's something we just approached it from the area of you're playing South Range. Everybody knows what's at stake. Everybody knows how important the game is. And I think that I tried to sell our kids on, it could be the last time you play them. And when you have kids that you've grown up playing against for the last 5, 6, 7 years, travel basketball, baseball, football, you want to make sure if that's the last game you play that you send a message and you come out on the positive end. And I think in football, obviously it was bittersweet. I mean, that was a tough loss. It's a great South Range team. I give them a lot of credit. I mean, that was a fantastic team. They had a great season. And it was a tough loss for our guys. But I thought Coach Guerrero did a great job in getting our guys week to week to do their job and be very businesslike and progress through the season. And we're kind of taking that approach of approach every game by game, get better game to game, get better day to day. It's all part of the process.
Obviously, too, we know looking at this, we talked about how you were going to be without your players for a little bit because of the success of the football team. And when you have success in athletes, that's going to happen. But just talking about it, you guys are still doing just fine, it seems like, in the basketball realm. So what do you attribute the early season success to, and what's making this motor run so well so early on?
Well, I think definitely for the early season, you look to your seniors to carry you, to show the leadership. And we have a plethora of seniors that have extensive experience. I mean, Adam Wary was an all-state player last year, and Alex and Bo both were tremendous, and Jake had a great football season, stepped right in. So the 4 seniors have been the key to kind of keeping the ship afloat. Right now, we're still in the learning process. You have kids that really have just been with me for a few weeks. You're just getting to know tendencies. We don't even have full packages in. You're working day to day to try to get things in. So again, it's part of the journey, just getting to know players, getting to get things in. But I think the seniors and having some playmakers has definitely been a plus to be able to carry us here early in the season, because that transition is often tough. I will say, going back to years ago when my previous tenure at Springfield, I had guys like Isaac Smolko and Jimmy Schuler, and a lot of those kids had played with me from 8th, 9th grade. I started taking those kids to travel tournaments back when they were in junior high, played JVs with me. So by the time they were seniors, not having a preseason didn't really affect them because they had been with me for year after year after year, systems in place. For these players, it's a totally different scenario. Not only did they miss this preseason, if you look at their careers, for like Bo and the football players and Jake Joyce, some of these guys, and even our younger kids, they've never had a preseason. Bo Brungard hasn't had a preseason in 3 seasons. They've never had a preseason. So you're literally coming out of football and playing games. And you saw Ursuline had to do that, and obviously South Range had some kids doing that. And it's a tough scenario to be in, but I think it obviously makes it more difficult when you have a transition with a new coach, a new system. And that's part of the process that we're in right now, is just trying to get better day to day, get in the lab every day, work on the things that we need to do to correct and try to progress forward.
Couple more questions for you real quick, Coach. And just looking at this, we talk about it with all coaches, and a lot of them will tell us that basketball season is essentially split up into 3 parts: before and after Christmas break, and of course the tournament time. But the interesting dynamic is, based on how athletes finish in their respective sports on both girls or boys sides, that before Christmas break, games can look like you have 5 on the schedule, you could have 9 to 10 on the schedule. Right. But for you guys, it's often a more heavily back end of the schedule more than the front end. So looking at this and going into after Christmas break, what are those improvements and adjustments that you want to see made in this team to continue to get better? And where do you think the ceiling is at right now for this team?
Well, I think, the ceiling is very high. Expectations are high. And I think anytime you're at Springfield in athletics, expectations are always high. That kind of goes with the territory. There's a certain degree of pressure that comes with that, but it's also what makes coaching at Springfield special. As a kid that grew up here, watching the kids, when I grew up, kids like Chuck Sinsel and Scott Shane and Jimmy Trafkin, and then you get into the players that I played with, like Eddie Affeler, who was a Division I college player and had a great career. Then the kids I coached when I was coaching with Coach Del Torrio, you have a certain appreciation for what it means to the community. The people in Tiger Nation live and die high school sports. I mean, it's something when you go to the local grocery store, that's what they're going to talk about. And, again, expectations are very high. So for us as a program, we got to look at it and say, how do we get better day to day? I think fundamentally, there's a lot of philosophical things that we have to just teach and preach and drill up. Now, we're in the process of teaching some of those things, but I always go back to this. The attention to detail is what separates the good teams from the great teams. You're going to have good athletic teams. You're going to have some teams that can play, but the attention to detail and how you approach things in terms of, are you willing to sacrifice to do the little things that are important that make the difference? Those can separate. And those are the things that we have to kind of drill into our kids and get better at. Again, last night we had a lot of turnovers, and you got to give South Range credit. Coach Klusnick did a great job. His kids played hard, and we turned the ball over too much. So we have to get better at certain things in terms of our reads, our understanding of the game, where players are. And a lot of that's just repping it up. We just haven't had a chance to rep up a lot of things that we've got to get in and just get more reps as the season goes. But like you said, as you get into the second half of the year, especially with COVID, you could be looking at potentially 6 games in 9 days. I know at my school last year, we played, I believe, 6 in 10 days. I mean, it's more than the NBA is playing. So you take away the preparation, and it makes it even more difficult. So, those are the things every coach is dealing with across the state of Ohio, across our nation. It makes it difficult, and you just have to try to progress the best you can, keep the kids in a positive mindset, and hopefully, again, continue to build.
Final question for you, Coach, and then we'll get you out of here. Just you've talked about him a little bit already. I just want to give you the chance to kind of give us a reason why Adam Wary should get the votes for Baird Brothers Big Dog. And we know that Springfield community always supports Big, but why should the choice be Adam Wary this week?
Well, I mean, if you look at Adam, I mean, he's a tremendous player, and I think he's one of those, because we're a Division III school, a lot of the people across the state of Ohio don't know how good he is. When you look at it and say, there's things he's got to clean up in his game. Yeah, that's every player. There's things we're working on that. When you look at a kid that can flat out take over a game, he's one of the rare players that has that ability to change the course of the game. I thought he did that at Lowville last week. I know you guys covered the game, and he did basically just turned it into another gear and changed the course of the contest. And those kind of players are special. And I told Adam before the season, I said, you're a good player. You came off a great season. You've already proved that you're a very good high school player. In Springfield, what I try to preach is, do you want to be one of the great players? Do you want to be one of the guys that's remembered, that they're still talking about, the Mark Metzkas, the Jimmy Schulers, the Jim Trafkins? You want to be in that class to where you're one of the guys that people are talking about down at the Tigers table 20 years from now. And that's what I kind of go back to and say, that should be your mindset, to not just achieve what you can, but I think the success of the team makes that better for any personal individual accolades. And he's definitely one of those guys, for sure. I mean, and the thing people don't realize too is, you think he's a big time scorer, because he could score 20 to 30 every night. The bottom line is, though, he's also a guy that's fine. He had a couple games where he scored 4 and he could care less. He's like, no, I'm fine. We got guys open. I'll throw him the ball. He'll come out 8-9 assists instead of the 22 points. And hey, I had a great game. And that's fine. And that's the kind of guys we got. And to be honest, I feel very fortunate to have very unselfish players, with Alex, Jake, and Bo, and then even Sean Guerrero, Shondell Gardner, Brandon Price played a lot of minutes for us. We have a great group of guys that are right now invested into each other. And I think for teams to take that next step, and for us hopefully to progress as the season goes, we got to get better. Bottom line, we got to get better. But I think the bottom line is, they care about each other. And when you love each other and you grow up together, there's a special bond, and there's a little bit of caring for each other. The relationships make a difference, and hopefully that'll help carry us as we get into the second half of the season.
We're certainly excited to see the second half of the season and support those Springfield Tigers the rest of the way, as I'm sure we'll be talking to you and a bunch of your boys again real soon, Coach. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
We go from the scarlet tier of the MVAC right over to the gray side with Camel Memorial, and Coach Canarino now joining us from the Red Devils. And Coach Canarino, now, how are we doing today, sir?
Good. How you doing, Ty?
Oh, not doing bad at all, as the Camel Red Devils coming in 7-1 on the season. And Coach, we talk about it too post games, as it seems like every single night it's a different guy for you guys, and you guys have such a wealth of talent, it seems like, this year. Talk to me about the impact of the players that came back, and what does it mean to you as a coach that this is the community they wanted to end their careers in. This is where they wanted to be to end everything, and it was under your coaching that they wanted to end their high school careers under.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You always feel appreciative that these guys wanted to come back. They kind of went their own ways, and each of them were stars wherever they went. And for them to kind of get together and be like, hey, we want to go back, we want to finish it where we started it. It's kind of special, and kind of talks about the kinds of individuals they are, that they just want to come back and try to win something where they could have been somewhere else and kind of got the personal accolades and stuff like that. but they wanted to get back together and try to win something together at the place where they started. So again, I just feel fortunate that it happened.
I mean, looking at it too, and just looking at the talent that you have, you guys off to a 7-1 record too. And we look at what you guys have been able to do just offensively and what we've seen in scoring and what all these athletes are capable of doing. I mean, you have multiple guys capable of putting up 20 a night. But just looking at it, I think this team hasn't even reached its ceiling yet is what's scary about it too. And I think you'd agree on it. What do you think this team can continue to improve on? And how do you think this team can get even better come the second half and second portion of the season?
Yeah, like you said, I don't think any coach thinks they're a finished product 8 games into the season, especially with some guys coming back that weren't around for 2 or 3 years together, just kind of still getting that familiarity with each other. But again, I think it tends to stick in our hands a little bit. And again, when you got 7 or 8 guys that are capable, like you said, of scoring 20 points, that tends to happen. But it's just, showing them film, talking, making them realize that, when that ball gets reversed, it makes it a lot easier. It's a lot easier looks, layups, all that kind of stuff. Got a dog barking there. Sorry. But yeah, just getting these guys to realize that it can be easier than, maybe forcing a shot here and there. But yeah, we have a long way to go and we're excited. I tell you all the time, I think we're a defensive team. And I think when we get, all our stuff put in and fine-tuned and stuff, I think we're going to be a really dangerous team down the road.
Looking at your just coaching philosophy and coaching styles, is there anyone NBA, college level, even high school levels before? What are some coaching styles that you try to implement into your game and that you're trying to kind of implement? Maybe you're not copycatting, obviously, but what are some schemes and some coaching tendencies that you want to implement in this team or you're trying to?
I've always loved Roy Williams, just the way the transition game they had. They try to get it out quick and outrun you. And again, being a Duke fan, I've seen that, more times than not, but I was just always impressed with how fast the Carolinas and the Kansas teams were that he had, just getting the ball in transition and scoring on fast breaks without letting the defense set up. And that was just one of the things, especially with the group of guys we have and the athletic ability we have, just trying to get the ball down the court as fast as we can. Trying to get those one-on-one matchups or trying to even beat them down where it's a wide open layup. And I think Jameer Weaver's really done a good job with getting that ball down the court for us. He does a good job of finding people, but we're starting to get a little bit better at leaking out after we get the rebound and then just finding people. And like I said, just beating them down the court. But yeah, Roy Williams is always a guy that I was impressed with from that aspect. That's just something I thought we could do this year, or at least try to do, I should say.
I mean, talking about that too, I want to add that question about Jameer because he's one we haven't had the chance to talk about, Coach. I mean, we talk about Xavier, we talk about Kevin Moore. I mean, big scorers in their own right and obviously deserve all the talking they get. But Jameer's that guy that it seems like the engine, it's running through him. It's facilitated. The ball's touching his hand a lot. How important is he to making that offense go? And how important is he when you necessarily can't create that offense from defense in the transition game, setting up in the half court and trying to get old school offensive buckets?
Yeah. What I've always been impressed with Jameer, even when he was younger, was he always has a poise to him. He never gets sped up. He's always thinking. He's always asking questions. I think he's our smartest basketball mind. But yeah, he's always asking, why are we doing this? What about this? How about this kind of things? And you love having those conversations as coach, and especially coming from a point guard. Like I said, I'm just really impressed with his poise, just always under control. But yeah, I don't think he kind of gets some of the credit he has. I know he was up for player of the year last year in the league. But yeah, a kid who could score the ball from anywhere, really uses his body really well, can handle, can defend. But yeah, he's a tremendous player. I'm sure you're going to be hearing about him coming down the road, but I know you've done some of our games, so you're kind of familiar with what he brings to the table, where some of these other people might not be too familiar with him yet, but his time's coming.
Certainly excited to see it too, as it seems like it's someone different every night. Final question for you, Coach. And you talked about those Duke teams and those guys you take inspiration from. And the one thing I also say is those Duke fans, they're like a cult, so they support their team hard. Looking at the Red Devils now, it seems like this team got the talent, and boy, I call them the rockin' Red Devils. Is that the faithful in the crowd that come in, because they are rocking, and when things happen, they get loud. Just talk to me a little bit about that community support and how important and how influential it's going to be for the rest of this season and going into this second part of the season.
Oh, absolutely. We're just excited that they can be there. Last year kind of had limited fans everywhere we went. So not that it didn't feel like a normal season, but you just didn't get the full atmosphere everywhere you went. But I've always said our gym gets loud. Even when it's half full, it's loud. But this year, we got an exciting team out there. So a lot more students are coming out, a lot more community members. So that place gets loud. Like you said, we've been fortunate enough to get a couple highlight reel plays, a couple dunks here and there, and that place just goes crazy, which is awesome to see. But yeah, just impressed with people that come out, support us. Camel's a great community, and I'm glad we're able to put something out there that people want to come see.
Certainly a great community indeed, and if you guys haven't had a chance to see them, you need to, as Camel, next game, I believe, you guys are on the docket Tuesday, January 4th at Champion, I believe, is still scheduled. Of course, we know in this crazy part of the year, any given night, something could happen, but just for the last part before we let you go, Coach, just kind of give us a soft preview on this game and where everyone can come in and try to find you at Champion if they haven't come and seen you yet.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the task in front of us. Champion's always well coached. I know they kind of have a coaching change this year with Kish gone, but I mean they've been a good program, consistent program the last 10 years. They got some big bodies that we're going to have to box out and defend a little bit. But like you said, we're just hoping we play. This time of year with all these games getting canceled. I know they got canceled. You there?
Yeah, we're all here. We're good. We're good.
Oh, okay. Went blank on my screen. Sorry about that. I know they got canceled last night. So like you said, we're just hoping that we're able to play. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen coming back from break here. Seems like there's a lot of cancellations, but we're just hoping we're playing so we're not, playing 4 or 5 games a week down the road. I don't think anyone wants to do that. Yeah, we're just excited to get this underway and excited to see how far this team can go.
We're certainly excited to witness it along with you, Coach, as you could catch Camel Memorial and Coach Canarino with the Red Devils Tuesday, January 4th at Champion. And, of course, stay tuned to YSN for any updates or changes to schedules. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, Ty. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you as well. As Coach Canarino of the Camel Memorial boys basketball team joining us right after Jeff Brink. So we checked off the MVAC Scarlet and MVAC Gray tier for you so far. And oh boy, is it going to be so much fun looking at the competition in these two divisions, both the Scarlet and the Gray. We saw what Lowville was already able to do in a competitive game against Camel, competitive game against Springfield. We know that's going to be fun as it winds down too. But I mean, don't count out anything in that Gray division either, as that Champion game is going to be in conference play, as a lot of teams open up a heavy slate of conference play coming out of Christmas break. So stay tuned to the network, because it's going to be a wild ride, and we're going to be hitting the ground running full speed ahead. Looking at the rest of our schedule, just wanted to preview the rest of our schedule for you. We have Coach Wernicke of the Struthers Wildcats coming on at 1:15. We're going to talk about their season inside the NE8, starting off 3-1, and great matchup coming up tomorrow against Liberty, who is looking really, really good as of late. As well as we have to talk about the girls' side of our Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley, as well as look at our power rankings. And don't forget Scotty also coming in to try to stump me at some point today. As we'll take our next break here on Running Point and be back with the girls' end of our Baird Brothers Big Dogs right after this.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air,
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
online,
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
on social media, and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Jimmy Sutton here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
My guy keeps it 100% of the time. He wants all 100, won't settle for 99. And it's more than stats because there's people in those numbers. And I was one of the lost sheep. I'm so glad he cares for all 100. I'm 100% safe, 100% free, 100% love. I can be 100% me. He gave all 100 when they put him up on that tree. That's 100% passion for 100% free. So if I play in front of 100, or if I play in front of 2, there's an audience of 1 getting 100% of what I can do.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience, WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealth.com. Good luck, athletes.
Welcome back, everybody, here on Running Point, as we got through our coach's interview with both Jeff Brink of the Springfield Tigers and Nick Canarino of the Camel Memorial Red Devils. We have still Coach Mike Wernicke from Struthers Wildcats on, as well as talking about the power rankings, as well as Scotty Mincher still coming on. But right now, we're going to go right into the girls' side of action. We already talked about our Baird Brothers Big Dogs for the boys' side. Time to look at our candidates for the girls. Again, our boys' candidates real quickly. We'll run through them. Terence Panky of Ursuline, Adam Wary of Springfield, Donovan Pawlowski of Brookfield, Jake Gerdig of Canfield, Deshawn Vaughn of Fitch, and Gregory Constantino of Mcdonald. Now, looking at the girls' side of things, as first and foremost of the defensive-minded Salem Lady Quakers, it's Jenna McLish. And if there's one person that you could talk to and you could hear the calls of, it's our owner, DJ Yoakley, and how impactful she is for this Lady Quakers team that is been up there in the power rankings. I believe last week we're ranked number 2. We'll take a look at where they're ranked this week later in the show. But for Jenna and for Salem, really, it's a defensive-minded team that has held opponents to 30 or less at several times this season. And it's been a truly incredible defensive-minded Lady Quakers team that has culminated in a lot of victories. And once that offense starts kicking up, and it's starting to a little bit, it's going to get real dangerous. This Salem team is for sure. Demi Watson is a player I did get a chance, and I have had a chance to see this year with the Liberty Lady Leopards, and part of that three-headed monster on offense. Demi Watson's one of those players that she could shoot it from outside a little bit. She's pretty good at it, but driving is really where a strong suit of her game is, and taking it to the whole low post game, block to block, she's able to sink a lot of shots too, uses the glass really well when she gets in down low, and really is great at battling with girls that are, height advantage wise taller than her, as well as just having size down low. So Watson does a great job too. Demi Watson, that is, for Liberty. She's also a candidate for the Big Dogs, Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley. Jenna Smith from Garrettsville Garfield, as the Lady G-Men were playing just, I believe, a couple days ago too, and I think they're slated to be playing again soon. I'll have to check on that schedule for them, but Lady G-Men, of course, have been one of those strong teams, and we expected them, and we expect Coach Gilbert to be doing a great job with them over there. And as far as what we've heard from them, from Garfield's end of things, what we see from Garfield as a whole is they're always competitive. They always move the ball really well. They're able to get in down low, and they usually have a lot of height advantages. And Jenna Smith's one of those players, though, for Garfield, that it seems like her name's been popping up a lot in the network. Personally, have yet to see her this season, but I've certainly heard her name pop up a lot too. And I think Anthony's one that's been talking and preaching her name a lot as well. As for sure, this one is one that I know Anthony's talked about a lot as well, and Chelsea Williams from Jackson Milton, and getting a chance to see her. I've also had a chance to see Chelsea Williams, and she's one of those girls too that, facilitating wise, is able to just get the ball to anybody on the floor at any given time, as well as her driving capabilities is absolutely incredible. Her and Kylie Wilson together make a dangerous 1-2 tandem over there in Blue Jay country, and certainly for the Scarlet side of the MVAC. You got to watch out for those two, and Chelsea Williams is definitely an X factor as part of one of those 7 girls strong over there in Jackson Milton. Brooke Shantz on the other side for the Scarlet Tier, Western Reserve, and the Lady Blue Devils. Had a chance to see her as well too. Saw her a lot last year, saw her a couple times this year as well, and her game has improved drastically from last year to this year, and that's saying a lot, because she was a great player last year with that special team. But Brooke is one of those players that she put in the work over the summer, and she's continuing to get better, and you can definitely see it with her play on the floor. And that Western Reserve community is always having great teams, and Coach Miller always knows how to get great players developed and get the most out of every player. And certainly Brooke is doing the most on the court right now. Hannah Igley from West Branch is our final candidate, and certainly not least, though, she rounds things out for the Warriors. And Egley's another one of those players. I haven't seen her a whole lot this season. I've gotten a chance to see a couple of plays of her on the network, but it's just part of that towering West Branch team that has so much height, and they are so fortunate to have the height advantages that they are, and they are looking really good this year. And consistently in the power rankings, Hannah Egley is certainly a big reason why we consistently have seen West Branch be power ranked up into this point of this season, and probably why they're going to be a name we hear a lot throughout the girls basketball season. So again, to round things out for the girls basketball Big Dogs of the Valley for week number 4 candidates, it is Jenna McLish of Salem, Demi Watson of Liberty, Jenna Smith of Garfield, Chelsea Williams of Jackson Milton, Brooke Shantz of Western Reserve, Hannah Egley of West Branch. As that is your candidates, of course, go to ysnlive.com/bigdogs to get a hold of the voting. You can vote unlimited. Voting is unlimited on this one, as we'll take a look actually at our votes real quick and see where the current standings are of our Baird Brothers Big Dogs. On the boys' side, we are at 21-98. On the girls' side, 48-29. So we are just over, 7,000 votes right now. Not bad right now, guys, but I know you guys can do better, and I know we've pushed it plenty of times too. Get it out there, share it, and share it up a storm. A lot of great candidates on the Big Dogs list for both boys and girls, as they deserve to have as many votes flooded into the ballots and cast as well as they can too. I want to see those numbers get up there. These student athletes truly deserve it, and all great communities that are in there voting. We'll see who comes out on top of this one. As we're about 5 minutes away from Coach Mike Wernicke's interview for the Struthers Wildcats, we're going to be patiently awaiting him, as we also are going to be looking forward to our power rankings too, currently going on after the interview with Coach Wernicke. And then to close out the show, we look to bring Scotty Mincher in, as he's going to try to stump me as he does usually every week. And he might even have a topic to talk about before we close out the end of the show. But leading up to Coach Wernicke and before his arrival, just looking at what the Struthers boys basketball team has coming up for them. We talked about Thursday and tomorrow, actually, against Liberty and the Leopards. And this is a Leopards team that's just coming off of a victory against the Ursuline Irish. And it's an Ursuline Irish team that I believe was ranked number 5 in the YSN Power Rankings in their first appearance in the Power Rankings last weekend. They jumped all the way to the spot number 5. So that is a huge win for Liberty's program. And Liberty as a whole has been getting some big wins as of late, and they're starting to generate some noise. And they're certainly a team that I think we all need to start keeping our eye on, as they're never a slouch and they're certainly never a pushover, are the Leopards. And certainly looking at what Liberty has in that gray division, you look at these matchups now. One I'm circling on my calendar right off the rip is Camel Memorial and Liberty now, because what the Leopards have been able to do up until this point and the quality of opponents that they have underneath their belt, pair that with what the Red Devils have done on offense and what the Red Devils are continuing to do defensively and forcing turnovers and turning those turnovers into buckets on the offensive end. This is going to be a run and gun game, and this is going to be a game where I feel like we're going to see full court presses for about 28 of the 32 minutes. You're going to see constant running. I mean, that's just what both of these teams bring. As we said, it's part of that gauntlet side of the gray division of the MVAC, and really both the gray and scarlet are going to be tough conferences, tough portions of the conference to get through. But certainly I think that Liberty and Camel Memorial game gets a lot more interesting as the Leopards continue to keep improving throughout the season. But they are going to have their work cut out for them, because the Struthers Wildcats, yes, they were a team that was world beaters last year. They were a team that went, I think, 22-0 in the regular season. And you look at what the Wildcats were able to put together last year with guys like Trey Metzga on that team. It was truly an impressive and a memorable, unforgettable season for the Wildcats, no doubt. But a lot of people, I think, took what they lost from that team and they just immediately wrote this Wildcats team off. And we had a chance to talk with Coach Wernicke prior to the season, and he knew that the team was going to look different, no doubt. I mean, it's a team that you lost a lot of big names and big scorers from, but this is still a great program, and they're continuing to prove that, starting off 3-1. And I mean, proving once again inside the conference that until someone is to knock them down, I feel like the respect needs to be given to the Struthers boys basketball team. And they've certainly put together a very strong start of the season at 3-1, only opening loss to Mooney 61-57. But you talk about that, ever since that game 1 loss all the way back on December 4th, they've looked really good. Wins against Niles, Hubbard, and Poland since then, respectively. And now they got Liberty coming up before going deep into conference play right after that. As you see, coming up in January, just opening up in January, Tuesday, they go Lakeview, Jefferson, South Range out of the rip. So conference play going to open up, and it's going to be big games coming up for the Wildcats, and certainly ones we're going to want to talk with Coach Wernicke about, as you know, navigating through this season is a challenge in its own right, with how many games get canceled. And so many coaches have already come on and told us about how you can have 6 games in 9-10 days at some point. And these players are going to get gassed at some point throughout the season. So going to be interesting to see how these players are going to continue to be able to adjust in some strange seasons that we've had the last couple. As we get now ready, Coach Michael Wernicke getting ready to join us here from the Struthers Wildcats, about to join in studio. We have him in the green room, and we're getting ready to pop him in right now. As Coach Wernicke, how are we doing today, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Doing real well. Excited to have you on, and excited to be able to talk Struthers Wildcats boys basketball with you. And just talking a little bit about that, we mentioned 3-1 to start. Ever since that Mooney game, it seems like you guys are getting on the right track, and you guys have figured it out. Just talk to me a little bit about the talks of you've had with this team going into this season, and what do you kind of point this early season success to?
Well, I mean, we do have a decent amount of carryover from last year. Now, it's not on the floor carryover, meaning I don't have a lot of guys with game experience other than Ronnie Leonard and Sal Schaefer. I don't have another guy in the program that had played 1 varsity minute up until this year. But all of the other kids, the way our numbers are structured here at Struthers, we don't have a lot of numbers or a lot of depth. So we've got about 16 kids annually, 9 through 12. So everybody practices together. So it's not like these kids, this was their first experience with me or with varsity. These guys have been in the program in some capacity now for a couple years, even though they are younger. So that's kind of helped build a little bit where we're going. Even though there's a lot of teaching, there is a lot of carryover. And as we've gotten more and more game experience, I think my younger guys are starting to figure it out a little bit, and they're starting to play a lot better. And we had kind of gotten on a little roll, the 3 conference games in a row. We were Friday, Tuesday, Friday, and we were supposed to play the Tuesday before Christmas. And unfortunately, Hudson had to cancel because of COVID. And then we were supposed to play today, actually, at Lakeside, and they had canceled before Christmas. So we kind of lost a little bit of our momentum as far as where we were headed game-wise. But we're excited to get back on the floor tomorrow. It's been, we've had about 8 or 9 practices now since our last game. And this time of the year, that kind of gets tough. But my group has been pretty resilient, and we're looking forward to what's ahead.
And looking at this matchup tomorrow, I mean, I previewed it a little bit, but I want to get it from your perspective as well. This is a Liberty team now coming off of a win on Ursuline, and they're generating some momentum as well. And these two seem like 2 trains on a track ready to collide right now. What is it going to take for you to come away with a victory against this Liberty team? And what have you seen from them that you're looking to try to slow down, or that you're kind of circling as far as the game plan is concerned?
Well, I mean, as far as Liberty goes, for us to get a win tomorrow, it is going to take our absolute best effort, physically as well as mentally, that we've had this year thus far. This might be one of the better teams that we play all year. They're very physical, very athletic. They're very well coached. They do a lot of things that will cause us some problems as far as their athleticism, their pressure. how hard they push it. And then they have, I haven't seen every team around here, but James Davis is about as good of an offensive player as I've seen since I've been at the high school level in the area. There's not many guys with his size, his range, his ability to break you down defensively, get to the rim and play in the full court. James is about as good as I've seen since I've been at the high school level. So for us, we're going to have an unbelievable effort on the glass. We're going to have to limit as much transition baskets on their part as we can, and we're going to have to take care of the basketball. If we turn it over and allow them to get into transition, it'll be a long night for us. It'll be very difficult for us to get out of here with a win.
Looking at that too, and right after that game, I mean, you get a little bit of rest in between, but going into the new year, it's conference play, and it opens up pretty strong for you guys as well. And just talking about this NE8 conference, I feel like everyone kind of thought it was wide open, and it is in some aspects too, but certainly you guys are as a strong team this year, like you were last year. Maybe not, different team, obviously. We know no team is the same, but just talking about competing inside this NE8, just looking at it, what is it going to take for you to get a piece of that crown? And just looking at the NE8 schedule, how are these games going to shape up, you think, going into the season?
Well, honestly, the COVID has changed a lot of things. Like right now, Jefferson is on a pause, and we're going to end up being their next opponent on January 7th. So they went on pause yesterday. They were supposed to play in a tournament yesterday and today, and that's out. And then they were supposed to play at home against Niles on Tuesday, and that'll be out. But, I mean, I would say right now, to me, Jefferson is the front runner in our league. They've got the most experience back. They've got, his kids have been playing together for a while. They play up and down a little bit. They've had some good wins already in the league and out of the league. But as far as the NE8 goes, I mean, I'll be honest with you. We're competing against ourselves every day just to try to get better. If I try to look at the rest of the teams in our league and compare ourselves, there's, Girard is an excellent team. Obviously, Poland is really good. That was a tremendous win for us. And they're only going to get better as they get healthier. I mean, they had a great win last night against Boardman on the road, which is never easy. I mean, Boardman is one of the standard programs in our area. So that was a great win for them. South Range playing Springfield to triple overtime. I mean, that group is coming along as they start to mature a little bit. And then, obviously I think we're good, but we got a long way to go. And I'm just trying to get this group focused on each game as it comes. We're not good enough to sit here and say, oh, we got to do this or that with we got to win this game at home or whatever. We got to do the best that we can each day. We're not good enough to look ahead. And if we do, then we'll find ourselves in third or fourth place really quickly.
And I mean, obviously looking at this team and just looking at the schedule, we know it's going to be competitive. It seems like every single night for you guys. Looking at your kind of coaching philosophy and coaching scheme, I'm curious too, because I've asked other coaches this throughout the show as well. Is there anyone, NBA, college, even high school level, that you kind of take philosophies from, schemes from, that you try to implement in your own personal coaching philosophy and scheme?
I'll take whatever I can from whoever I can. I do watch a lot more of the NBA game than maybe some people do. The one thing I found is what you see in the NBA today is about 2 or 3 years ahead of what you see at the college level. Those things take a little bit of time to matriculate. And a lot of the things that you're watching now with what Golden State does or what Toronto does or some of the other teams, even what Cleveland's doing, you'll start to see some of that manifest itself at the college level, in about 2 or 3 years. Now, there's not a lot of things that translate directly from the NBA or college to the high school level because it's such a different game. I mean, the thing about basketball that separates it from baseball and football, I mean, baseball is baseball. No matter what level you play at, the only thing that changes basically is the distance of the mound and the distance of the outfield fences. Basketball is so different in that every level that you play, the rules are different, the courts are different, the 3-point lines are different, the clocks are different, and it's, so a lot of things that those other guys do, they're doing specifically for their rules, and a lot of it doesn't apply to the college level. But to answer your question, I mean, you want specifics. I mean, I try to watch some of the lower level college teams, maybe like this year, as an example, Colgate goes to Syracuse and beats Syracuse by like 25, and they're running kind of like a 5-out motion type deal, but with some Princeton aspects to it. So like, I'll watch those games to see what those guys are doing, because that's a little bit more relatable to our level. When you watch Duke and Gonzaga, the level of talent that they have allows them to give those kids so much more freedom in the game. That game resembles the NBA a lot more than ours does. So you have to kind of watch some of the other teams. The Ivy League and the Patriot League are great levels to watch if you're trying to get schematic things, because they have to be able to execute offense and defense, and they have to be able to do different things to compete. With the academics, they don't have the same type of time restraint or freedom with time, and they also don't have the same athletes. So there's a lot more coaching as far as direct schemes and sets and stuff at that level than other levels. But I'll be honest with you, every single time I go scout a high school game, if I see something I like, I'm going to take it. And I'm always impressed with, doesn't matter what game I watch, I always look at these other coaches and say, man, why aren't I doing that? Or how do they get their kids to play that hard or that well? So, I mean, if you open your eyes, there's learning experiences every time you step in the gym.
Add another one to the Rolodex, right? And just looking at that though, and just looking at the team overall, and you talk about the implementation of multiple schemes and schemes from all over. What challenges does it present though when an athlete does want to continue on to the college level, being that ambassador for them going into that next level with rule changes and everything? How do you kind of get them prepared for that next level while still playing at this level?
Well, I mean, for the guys that I've had that actually, have the ability to possibly play at the next level. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I grew up in the college game. I spent 25 years as a college assistant, and so my practices resemble everything that I've done at the college level in practice. I mean, that's what I learned. That's how I learned to coach. That's how I learned to practice. So a lot of the things that we do are helping, these guys prepare, because we practice that way. And I understand what college coaches are looking for, and I'm able to convey some of that, to my kids and practice, and say, look, when we're doing drills, or when you're here early before practice or staying late after, these are the things you should be working on, focusing on, even if it doesn't necessarily directly translate at times to what we're doing. I think that's what I've been able to do with some of my kids. But there's so many good players here in the area that don't get that opportunity, just because it's not a heavily recruited area. And that's one of the things that we're trying to change, as far as some of the things we've done in the fall to try to get some college coaches' eyes on the kids in the area. But to answer your question, I mean, the things that I do in practice, I try to teach these kids that this is how you need to practice, and this is the level you need to practice at every day, because if a college coach walks in, this is what they're going to look for.
Coach, I can guarantee you we're all going to be looking at the game going on tomorrow too, and seeing how all those strategies are implemented against Liberty. December 30th, going to be on the network too, so you could catch Coach Wernicke and the Wildcats as they take on the Leopards. Thank you so much for joining me here, though, today, Coach, and giving us a preview of this game, and giving us a little bit of early season recap of what the team's doing right now. We always appreciate your time, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you again real soon.
Oh, anything that you guys need. And, tomorrow, the casual fan will enjoy this game. I mean, Liberty they're starting to establish themselves as one of the premier or top of the, top level teams in our area. They've played a great schedule. Archbishop Hoban on the road. They've already played Harding. Obviously, last night I was at the game. That was a high-level game with Ursuline, and it was very competitive. And that was probably in the early part of their season a signature win for them. I know that's a pretty good rivalry. And like I said, if we're not playing at our best, then I don't know that we can play with Liberty right now. They're playing that well, and they're on a pretty good run. So, but we're excited about the opportunity to compete, and hopefully we have a good crowd, and it'll be definitely a fun atmosphere. So
if you can't make it out to this game, you know right where to find it on our network too. Pack those stands, and if you can't make it, pack the views, because this is going to certainly be a fun one going on tomorrow night. Struthers and Liberty, Coach Wernicke and the Wildcats taking on the Leopards. See him there tomorrow. Thank you again so much, Coach.
Thank you, and Happy New Year, and we appreciate everything that you guys do, and Happy New Year to everyone out there, and please stay safe, and we'll see you down the road.
Yep, we'll be seeing you too. Happy New Year to you as well, and you guys stay safe as well. We'll be talking to you, Coach.
Great, thank you.
Coach Michael Wernicke of the Struthers Wildcats joining us, and boy, he pretty much summed it up. That game against Liberty going on tomorrow. If you can't make it in attendance, you need to get there on the network and flood those views, because this is, like you said, for the casual fan, this is going to be a fun one to watch for sure. As we also have to get into our power rankings as well before Scotty Mincher comes on to try to stump me as usual. So without further ado, we're going to get right into that too, as we get ready to play our power rankings and take a little bit more of an in-depth look at our top 10 teams from both the boys and girls side of things on YSN.
This week's Power Rankings brought to you by Armidas Kachina, perfect for your graduation party. If you're looking to make a splash this graduation season, make sure you book Armidas Kachina at armidaskachina.com. Here's a look at those Power Rankings. Salem up one spot from 2 to 1 with some big wins this week. They're at 9-1 on the season. Liberty also climbing the charts at 9-0. They sit at number 2. Canfield with a slight dip from 1 to 3, but they have a matchup with Salem on Wednesday. Poland climbs up with a big win, 8-1 on the year, sitting at number 4. West Branch at number 5. Howland at number 6 at 5-4. Then it's Louisville at 6-2 at the 7th spot. Number 8 will find us Springfield. Brookfield at number 9, and Champion comes in at the new number 10. Let's take a look at the boys. East Liverpool standing strong at number 1. Campbell Memorial climbing up to number 2 at 7-1. Cheney with a slight dip at 5-3. Ursuline's tough schedule has given them the benefit of the doubt at number 4. West Branch at perfect 4-0 gets them the number 5 spot. Springfield at 4-0 gets them to move up the charts, followed by Louisville at 7-1, who stays steady at the 7th spot. Howland at 5-2 at 8. Carter Mooney back in at number 9, and Canfield rounds out the bunch at number 10. Again, this brought to you by Armidas Kachina in the Power Rankings. Get your graduation party booked now for this spring.
As that was our power rankings for the week. And got to keep in mind, too, that this is from the beginning of the week. So results have from this week, this current week, have not been factored into those power rankings. Those are due to come up at the beginning of the week, usually every week. But, of course, with Christmas break, a little bit of things lagged in our show, so we had to premiere it here on Wednesday. Anthony Hartwig has commented, too, as he was saying it was 18-12 Fort Fry after one over South Range, but then took a little bit of a turn for the worse for the Lady Raiders as Fort Fry hit 9 threes in the first half. They were leading them 33-14 at the break, and now going into the third quarter, owning the day, as Anthony Hartwig said, 50-14 after 3. And if you count that up, that is a 17-0 quarter for Fort Fry in the third quarter. And you want to talk about a team that truly, we heard from Coach, too, about he wanted them to start shooting better. And boy, oh boy, are they ever, too. South Range, since the first quarter, has been outscored. What is that? 32-2, as Fort Fry having a fantastic run right now. We know basketball is a game of runs, and certainly looking like they are leading that one big, as Anthony Hartwig tuning in for that one. But looking back now at our power rankings, as they were both dropped, let's take a look over at the girls' side of things. And most importantly, and most notably to add, is that Salem finally cracks the number 1 seed at 9-1, but right there, as it seems like keeping pace, taking a step with them every step of the way. Liberty at 9-0 as well. And just looking at the schedule and how it plays out, this might be one of those where we see these two teams flip multiple times. Salem and Liberty, both tremendous teams with such deep players on the bench too, as far as just the athletes and the numbers they have. It's going to be truly a fun season. And then you have Canfield that could always throw a wrench in the whole thing at 5-3, but the competition they play is certainly one of the best. Poland, though, getting that big win over Canfield, it jumps them from 5-4 as they are right under the Lady Cardinals now. We see West Branch standing strong at 9-2. Howland still in the mix. Louisville still right there at 7, as Louisville's been standing strong at 7 for quite some time, as silently been on this power rankings pretty much, I think, every single week. Have the Lady Leopards, and well-deserved as well. The Lady Tigers are, of course, on there at 8-1 now. Brookfield's back on at the 9 spot, so 8 and 9 don't change, but there they are. And the Lady Flashes of Champion finally getting their appearance on there, cracking in at the 10 spot at 7-0, and well-deserved, as the Lady Flashes do make it into the top 10 for this week. See if they could keep it rolling, as they were undefeated at the time of this power ranking, of course, as they did ultimately, I believe, lose to Howland in that tournament play, but Champions still nonetheless having a fantastic start to the season, and well-deserved. So debate it, argue it. Did we get it right? What do you think? Let us know on all of our socials about our power rankings on the girls' side for week number 4. Let's take a trip over to the boys' side of things real quick, as we'll take a look at our top 10 teams over there, as East Liverpool, pretty hard to get them out of that number 1 spot for what they've been doing, but another jump has occurred in Camel Memorial, jumping from 3-2, hopping over a Cheney team that has been really good this season, but dropping a couple at 6-3. But the Camel Memorial Red Devils standing at 7-1 right now, and they are truly rocking right now. Offense scoring 80+ points multiple games this season. Going to be a dangerous offense, as we just got a chance to talk with Coach Canarino today about that offense. We're going to get to see them back in action against the Champion Boys squad on Tuesday, January 4th. We talked Cheney, number 3. Ursuline's right there at number 4 right now after being ranked number 5. We'll see how that win Liberty got over Ursuline. And this is what we want to stress too, is that these are from the beginning of the week. So Liberty and Ursuline game not factored into this one, but that will be an interesting topic and an interesting debate topic going into next week. How does Liberty fare in all of this now with the win over the Irish? But Irish were ranked number 4 going into this week. West Branch stays at number 5, or goes down or up to number 5 from 6, I should say. Springfield jumps from 8 to 6, as both teams, West Branch and Springfield, sitting at 4-0. Louisville 7-1, as the Leopards just love the number 7 Lady Leopards, and the boys Leopards squad staying at 7 pretty much the whole season, it looks like, for both sides, as Louisville, like we said, both got great squads, and they've both been consistently ranked in the top 10. Howland has stayed put. Mooney has stayed put, but the Canfield Cardinals go from 9 to 10, so right on that cusp of dropping out of the top 10 power rankings at 5-3. And you kind of look from that 8, 9, and 10 spot, a lot of room, I think, that could be made up. And that's where you're going to see 3 teams. Those 3 teams have the potential of dropping and losing their spot with a continued bad week. And looking at what the rest of these squads have coming up too, we can definitely and certainly see a lot of movement going on in all of the power rankings. But there's your boys' side, as East Liverpool still stays strong at number 1. As the biggest movement, it seems like some of the biggest movement, Camel Memorial jumps that 1 spot from 3 to 2. And everyone else, it looks like, has just kind of bumped up a couple spots. The biggest movement we see as far as list is concerned is Springfield moving from 8 to 6. And then, of course, Howland and Mooney being featured on the list this week, too, after not being featured on it last. So Howland being 8 and Mooney being 9, getting featured back on to the list. But those are our power rankings, sponsored by Armidas Cucina. And make sure you book Armidas Cucina for your graduation party today. Perfect for home graduation parties of any other outdoor setting. Amazing, unique foods, including their famous stuffed hot peppers, delicious chicken sandwiches, and more. They can even bring music to turn your party into a party. Visit ArmidasCucina.com on Facebook or call 330-787-1932. For Armidas Cucina, as those are our power rankings for this week, as we now go into what I would say going to be our final break of the day. One of our final breaks, I should say, before we bring Scotty Mincher on to try to stump me. As we get into our final break of the day, be back right after this. Scotty Mincher on YSNLive.com. Don't go anywhere.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Cocos Pizza, proud to announce our pizza buffet's back every Wednesday at our Boardman and Canfield locations. Adults only $7.99 and kids only $4.99, and $2 beer starting at 8 o'clock. That's Cocos Pizza. We serve it hot.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Welcome back, everybody, as now I am joined in studio with the one, the only Scotty Mincher now to round out this very busy Wednesday as we return back from Christmas break. Scotty, you're returning back to Running Point too. We don't have Anthony today, but I'm still here. You're still here, so we still make a show happen, right?
Yeah, the show must go on, as they say. I got my brand new Cavs City mixtape edition jersey for the year. So
looking pretty good too, Scotty. I must say.
I'm feeling good today. Now, that doesn't mean I'm gonna stump you, but I'm gonna try my damn hardest. That's for sure. You got your computer there. I know you. I trust you not to.
No, absolutely not. Hands up, not going to cheat.
Not like you need to anyway. But before we do get into the questions, Ty, if that was okay with you, I wanted to hit you with one topic here. First off, your Patriots suffered a big defeat at home against the Buffalo Bills. Right now, they are still pretty, firmly into the playoff picture. The Bills leading the AFC East right now. I don't know if it goes by. They may have, a better AFC record. I'm not exactly sure, but is it more just as a Patriots fan this year, do you feel like anything from here they're playing with house money, or will you be disappointed if the Patriots, don't make the playoffs, or let's say they're one and done? Or do you feel like this year, the first year with Mac Jones, it's kind of, maybe been a little bit of fool's gold and they're playing with house money at this point?
I think it's a good question there, Scotty, because I truly kind of, I don't want to ride the fence with this, because I will firmly say that I thought this team would be good. I think we would have a winning record prior to the season. I thought there was a chance of making the playoffs, because anytime you have Bill Belichick as a coach, I think there's that opportunity certainly presents itself. But in this case, I think you're about a year ahead of schedule is what I feel like the Patriots are with Mac Jones. I think he's overperforming as a rookie, and I think definitely it could definitely be a rookie of the year candidate with his play. But he had a bad game, and that happens for rookies. And you know, if we're willing to give Baker Mayfield excuses up until 4 years after for bad games, I do think Mac Jones has the capability of being a very solid quarterback. And it was one of those cases. It was a bad game, and it was one where he threw the ball a lot more. Because if you remember, the last time we played the Bills, we beat them at home, and it was in that, I think, win game where we ran the ball 98% of the time, threw it only 3 times. So Mac didn't have to be very involved in that one. Bills got him this time defensively, forced him to throw the ball a little bit, picked him off a few times, and that's what happens too. But the biggest thing is we just need to get there. And if we get there, I always have faith in Belichick, and I have faith in this defense right now. But certainly, end of the schedule is looking a little bit scary. We do have Miami to close things out in Miami, and that's never worked out too well for us in years prior, as that's always a hard place to win.
They're smoking hot right now.
They certainly are, and that win over the Saints is certainly adding fuel to the fire. So going to be an interesting end of the season for sure in the NFL as things continue to wrap up. But I have faith in the Patriots. I think we're going to be able to be just fine in making it to the playoffs. I think my expectations right now, they're a little bit higher now that I've seen the team play. I've seen the defense back. But I do think I could expect us to go one and done, maybe a wild card win. But I don't see much more than one playoff win this year.
And just another really quick thing, one more thing before we get into the trivia. You alluded to Baker Mayfield a moment ago. And I wanted to ask you, Ty, a lot of people, including myself, thought the Browns could even possibly, they had a Super Bowl level talent going into the season. I thought, the Super Bowl wasn't out of the question. And here they are sitting at 7-8, and they got to win out, and they need some help just to get in. So my first question to you is, do you think the Browns have been the biggest disappointment in all of the NFL this year? And then the second one is, what do you think the reason is? Do you think it just comes down to it's as simple as the quarterback and Baker? Do you think it's more Stefanski having a sophomore slump? Do you think the roster's overrated? Or do you think it's a combination of all of that? But I'll let you answer the first question first. Do you think the Browns have been the most disappointing team in the NFL this season?
It's hard to say no. It really is hard to say no, just considering on paper on what the talent level that they had. But old number 6, I think, was always one of the biggest questions going into this season. And I think that's kind of the writing on the wall right now. There was about half everyone that was kind of still on the Baker train, and they were firmly, this is our guy, this is who's going to lead us to the promised land. And then the other half that were saying this isn't our guy, and we need to get rid of him. He's kind of playing kind of like Jay Cutler used to play. He kind of reminds me of Jay Cutler, one of those guys that is going to get you 6 to 8 wins in a season. He's good for about that. He'll get you those wins over teams that he should beat. He'll get you the wins over the bad teams, but those competitive teams and drives, I got to tell you, if you give me a list of 32 starting quarterbacks and you tell me I could pick any single one of them to go down the field for a last drive to get me either into field goal range or to score a touchdown to win the game, I think Baker's probably closer towards the 25 to 32 range as far as where I'm picking it, just because, I mean, consistently, you look at these games back to back, Baltimore before the bye week, Kansas City opening season, Green Bay, Pittsburgh at home. How many games is the ball in his hand with a chance to win it and a turnover? And, it gets frustrating too for Browns fans because you see the media too try to give him every benefit of the doubt and saying, interceptions aren't his fault. But yeah, maybe the interception, maybe it's PI on that last one against Green Bay, but you also threw 3 more prior to. And the play of the whole game is what matters at the end of the day, in my opinion.
That being said, I promise this is the last thing, and then I'll get you a good 10 minutes of trivia. That being said, the Browns, they need the Bengals to lose, which I'd assume Kansas City's gonna be. They're the favorites in that one. Last I checked, 4.5 point favorites. They need the Ravens to lose, and we don't know about Lamar Jackson's status going into this week. And even if he plays, I would assume the Rams would be the favorite. But on top of all that, the Browns have to win the last 2 games. Now, they lost the first game to Pittsburgh in Cleveland, but Baker has owned Cincinnati. So do you think the Browns are still at about a 50-50 shot to make it, or do you think it's less than that right now? Would you say about maybe 30-40% or even lower than that?
Give me 44% because I'm going to go 50. I'd say 50%, but we'll take Baker Mayfield 6% off of that too, the 6 that he wears, and I'll say it's a 44% because I think he gives them a 6% chance less of making the playoffs with him under center. But I say it's about 44%. You're right. Baker's played well against Cincy. He could pull it off again, but they're going to need a little bit of help. But he loves this little underdog mentality, so he can get himself into the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Baker and the Brownies.
Interesting. And now we move forward with trivia, Ty. I think these are ones I just came up with off the top of my head. You're just so knowledgeable. You have just a brilliant sports mind. But I said, hey, I'll give these a shot today. Got a little bit of help, but not much with these. So here we go. The first one for you, Ty, I want to know from you, in what year did the USFL form and in what year did it end?
So what year did the USFL form and what year did it end?
Yes.
I think it was a very short time. It was created. I know. I think it was only like a 4 or 5 year span. I want to say, I think it might have been 82 to 86 was the USFL.
You say 82 to 86.
I think it was 82 to 86.
We're going to have to do some
research.
Fact checking.
Fact check that one?
Yeah, because my paper says 83 to 87.
You might have it right. I might have been off with that one. I thought it might have been 82 to 86. I knew it was only like a 4-year window. We're going to have to fact check that one. Anthony will have to give us the updated scores after he fact checks this, or we'll have to fact check it off the show. I don't want to use the computer and just even risk using Google or having the computer right there. But we'll have to fact check that one. I said 82 to 86 and you have 83 to 87. We'll double check that one. What's the next one you got for me?
My next one, this is also in the category. It's USFL. It has a USFL tie, USFL related, and it is what team won the first USFL championship? And it's a 2-parter. Who was their championship MVP quarterback?
So who won the first USFL championship and who was the MVP?
Yes, at the quarterback position.
Oh, man. Well, it would have been the 83 one. Who would have won in 1983? This is a good question, Scotty, because you brought in the USFL. You didn't bring in anything else. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I think I might know who it was, but I don't know if I can remember. I'm actually having. Man, what were the teams in the USFL? This will have to probably be our last question, too, as we are going to have to wrap up the show. But this one. So the person I'm thinking it is, because the one I think who won first MVP of USFL, I'm trying to think of the teams. But was it Hebert? Was it Bobby Hebert? Was that his name? Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, I think was his name, his nickname.
That
part's right.
You got the name. Now, what team?
I'm trying to think of. I don't know if I could think of the team name. I think you're going to get me on that. Did he play for Philly though? Was that a city that played? I can't remember the cities that were in the USFL though, off the top of my head. I'll concede that point. I'll take my one. We'll tie on the 1-1 on this question, and we'll have to fact check the other one to see who gets the win. But I'll give you the win on this one. Who's the team that he played for?
All right, it was actually the state up north. It was the Michigan Panthers.
Michigan Panthers too. I don't think I would have ever been able to quite pinpoint that one. Bringing in the tough questions, USFL, as Anthony Hartwig tuning in and saying 61-16 Fort Fry beating South Range. That's the final over there at South Range. As Scotty Mincher, that's going to have to do it, as unfortunately time winding down for us here on Running Point. We have Casual Sports Podcast coming up in just a couple minutes. That is going to start at 2. Running Point here ending from 12 to 2. And then, of course, Power Hour after Casual Sports Podcast from 3 to 4. I'd like to thank you, though, for joining us, Scotty, as you do every Wednesday. I'm sure we'll see you next Wednesday, as you have a couple questions, I'm sure, in the can for me.
Yeah, there's 2 more I got in the can for next week that have to do with something that happened recently. So, yeah, excited for that. And as always, Ty, thanks for having me on.
We love having you on, Scotty, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. As we also want to thank our coaches for joining on today. Coach Jeff Brink of the Springfield Tigers, talking to us about that thrilling triple overtime win last night, as well as Coach Canarino and the Red Hot Rockin' Red Devils 7-1, as we previewed their game with Champion and just talked about where they are season-wise to this point, as well as Coach Wernicke of the Struthers Wildcats, as they're off to a 3-1 start, have a heck of a game lined up tomorrow versus Liberty. As if you're a casual basketball fan, that is one I would definitely make sure I'm tuning in on the network, or making sure I am there in person for. I'd like to thank you guys all for tuning in and watching the broadcast of Running Point. To our proud owners, both DJ Yoakley and Brian Scott, who are able to bring this broadcast to each and every person out there. To our GM, Steve Leslie, who with his work with not only YSU football, but Bobseen Park Baseball and YSNLive.com, the Mahoning Valley, and the entire area of YSNLive.com would truly not know what to do without Steve Leslie. And so we thank him. But most importantly, to all of you that tune in and support these kids, schools, and communities, you guys are really and truly what YSN Live is all about. And so we thank you. From wherever you are tuning in for Running Point, this is Ty Bartell bidding you all a farewell and a good day, everybody.